Michael Winesburg.
Good evening, and thank each and every one of you for staying here. Let's note for the record that the owner's members are absent. So I'm Mike Winesburg, the president of the East 8th Street Block Association, and I'm a tenant of the best landlord in New York City, the Lower East Side People's Mutual Housing Association. And as such, I enjoy an affordable rent and good upkeep, and so what's my problem? Well, I'm currently unemployed, and so my rent constitutes far more than 30% of my income. And when my best friend and recently certified service animal was in the intensive care unit for 3 days, it was only through the good graces of my unique landlord that I was able to both save her and avoid displacement. But any bump in the road can, as you've heard over and over again today, can lead to displacement of tenants here in New York City. So I'm not standing here suggesting that landlords bear responsibility for the pitfalls of their tenants. But conversely, and certainly, tenants should not be held responsible to fatten the wallets of their landlords. Yet, that's exactly what tenants have been called upon to do for several decades. What really riles me, and there's been a couple of references to this recent spate of commercials, and their overblown claims of how quick landlords are to plow those allowed increases right back into their buildings. Yes, some do. And I'm sure that the landlords that we heard from here today are carefully selected by the RSA because they are among the small minority who do maintain their buildings properly, and I recognize that, and we should all applaud them for that. But it is opposite to my experience. The majority of landlords wouldn't dare to show their face here or withstand the scrutiny. For my experience, for 8 years I was proud to serve a Brooklyn councilwoman, and of the nearly 4,000 constituent cases that I handled personally, the vast majority of them were landlord-tenant cases. And a huge percentage beyond that were issues similar, had similar problems or contributing factors to where they were.
Sir, we've got 10 more people, so I'm going to have to ask you to wrap this up.
Okay. So, to bring it current, I've just established this block association with the intention of beautifying the block. We quickly learned that, we had 5 buildings in a 2-block radius where tenants are, facing displacement or living under horrendous circumstances. So, yes, I will advocate strongly for a rent rollback, and short of that, a rent freeze. Please, that's mandatory. Thank you kindly.
Thank you for your testimony. Paul Fisher. Michael Cooney. Michael Cooney.
Probably going to regret this. My family's lived in the same building on 400 West 7th Street for 75 years. And in that time, the last 25 years was under a lot of harassment. And we're the first case where the landlord's managing agent and superintendent went to jail. Okay? That being said, I also grew up in the 70s, and the real estate people are among the geniuses in this city. What they did when you lived through the 1970s and what they did through today for New York City is unbelievable. Who are the mayor's reps on the board?
You mean the public rep? You mean the public rep?
The mayor's representatives, aren't you?
Well,
a
the
couple
public
of you?
representatives. David through Cecilia, we're all public representatives.
Okay, I just wanted, because I was going to make a recommendation, but 50% of, more than 50% of the city's real estate is tax exempt. Okay, so the tax system is all screwed up. The real estate people and the small property owners are getting screwed because the tax system, the assessment system is so badly done. For a couple of years, I was responsible for sending over the I&Es that you people analyze, okay? There were times I was absolutely astonished at the returns. They were very, very high, and yet the reg guideline boards still approved increases. I don't know, I'm not privy to this, okay, what the decision-making was, but I do know, and this is what I'm recommending, is that the mayor's people go back and say, we need more than just one level to approve for rent guideline increases. You know, a 6-family or say 12-family unit and a 100-family unit, the expense ratio is way different, okay? You need to get the mayor on board and get a lot of people, including the real estate, to look at all of the factors necessary, okay, and come up, and this is going to take years, okay, and I'm going to end it up, but I appreciate your time, and I'm sorry the real estate board couldn't hear my accolades for them, but thank you very much.
Appreciate your testimony. Bernard Grossman. Patricia Melvin.
My name is Patricia Melvin, and I represent the 127 and 129 2nd Avenue and 36 St. Mark's Place Tenants Association. They're 3 sister buildings in the East Village. I've lived in my apartment for 35 years. When I moved in, there were 66 rent-stabilized apartments. Now there are between 10 and 12. The new tenants move out almost as soon as they move in search of lower rents. They do not feel the building is their home. There is no feeling of community or of caring about the building or their neighbors. In this way, my building seems like a microcosm for what is happening to many neighborhoods in New York City. We urge you to freeze the rents and help restore a feeling of community in the city. Thank you.
So much. Suzanne Schropp. Oh, great. Okay, terrific. Rubel Gordon Bond Reed. Kelly Boyd. Kwesi Cameron. Good evening.
My name is Kwesi Cameron, and I'm a long-term tenant in one of 2 SRO buildings on West 95th Street that are now being used as shelters by the Department of Homeless Services, DHS. Excuse me. Previously, the buildings had also been used as illegal hotels for out-of-town tourists. When the illegal hotel operation excuse me, was shut down after 2 years, for the first time in over 10 years, the buildings went through an extensive renovation, including new floors and elevator installation, all in preparation for the approval by DHS. This fact was unknown to the permanent residents until we were told at a meeting called by the building management and DHS the same day that the DHS clients were moved in. There are 192 units in my building. 40 permanent tenants remain in the building. The remaining approximately 152 units are occupied by the clients of the Department of Homeless Services. There are 2 DH clients per unit. adult families, we were told. And the building's management is paid $3,360 per unit per month, or $112 per day by DHS. This is roughly over $6 million per year. Also, the DHS clients were supposed to be housed under temporary contracts. Many of the DHS clients have been in the building since they moved in over a year ago. I mentioned previously that there is another building down the street run by the same owner with approximately 20 permanent tenants, less than my building. And also now it is also now a DHS shelter. This landlord also owns several buildings in New York City. For this reason, I don't believe a rent increase should be granted. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your testimony. Michael Tomasi? Walter Gambin?
Hello. I've been coming to these for several years, not every year, and I do present some issues. First, it's Walter Gambin. I like the accent on the last.
Sorry.
No problem. I live in an SRO on the Upper West Side. My landlord is harassing me, retaliating, because I testified for a tenant in a court case that she was bringing. And I wouldn't want to, the story of how I know that, how I know he's harassing me, that I won't go into. I use the word sick a lot. It's not meant to denigrate. It's just a state of our society. And housing and the finances and the arrangements for housing is a prime example of the sickness that's widespread among our species of humans. I'm afraid this question may really be the one that needs to be asked, because there can be no better. It's who will be hurt less at the major decision that you people have to make today. Will it be the landlords? They're hurting from the freezing the rent, and I really have to refer to some of the landlords here and some of the smaller landlords. I don't like to paint all landlords as a tenant. I'm an SRO tenant. I said I don't like to paint all landlords with one color or one stroke. There are some who may genuinely have reasons why, they may have hurts to their finances. Who will be hurt less? Landlords from freezing the rent, or the tenants from a rent increase? And how many will they be? I think it will be far more tenants who will hurt much more than the landlords who, yes, may be hurt if you freeze the rent. I stand in favor of a rent freeze at least, maybe a rollback. A few things to say about landlords. No, it skipped my mind. I think maybe I should just leave it there. Almost, whichever decision you make, some people are likely to be hurt. Less hurt is better. And I really appreciate, it's been a bit enlightening today, and I really appreciate what one speaker just recently said. And I have come up for a name with those landlords who maybe should get special exemption because they really have some hurting.
We very much appreciate your testimony and your sentiment, sir.
The HLRFE, Hardship Landlords Rent Freeze Exemption.
A good acronym.
Thank you all very much.
We will pass it along. Thank you. Susan McGettigan. Yay.
My name is Susan McGettigan, and I'm here to call not only for a rent freeze, but actually for a rent rollback. I am an East Village resident. I've lived in my rent-stabilized, unrenovated fifth-floor walk-up for 23 years. I was laid off a year ago and spent a great deal of my savings paying my rent, expensive COBRA payments. Were it not for Obamacare, I would have wiped my savings out entirely. I recently inquired temporary work. I don't make a lot of money. Last year, I had 2 gas leaks in my apartment, and my landlord delayed repairs for 6.5 months. I watched over the years as my landlord harassed myself and other tenants, including elderly and immigrants who were too frightened or unable to fight back, and most of the units are now market rate. In the East Village, I've watched as the variety and color and beauty of my neighborhood fades and is replaced by corporate chains, banks, and establishments too expensive for low and middle income people to enjoy. As others have testified, we tenants are not unsympathetic to small building owners, but my landlord owns multiple buildings and a lucrative chain of stores. If hardship truly exists for small building owners, and the process for establishing that hardship is so challenging, then address and correct that process, rather than reward wealthy owners with spurious reasoning for increases. I would like to ask the board how they justified an increase of 8.5% for 2-year leases during the height of the recession, when unemployment in the city had gone over 10%. And yet landlords were making a profit. I would like the board, when they leave, to take a stroll down to the end of the island and look at the Statue of Liberty and consider the hardworking people that came through that island and that built and continue to build this city, and represent everyone equally, and not in the lopsided way you have for years and years. Thank you.
So this is our last registered tenant. If there's anyone else who has anything burning to share, otherwise I will call for a motion to adjourn.
I may adjourn.
Second.
Thank you all so much for being here.
Thank you.
You are champions for sticking with us this long.